Alright guys, welcome back to VALORANT News. Huge drama emerging after the last chance qualifier finishes yesterday for Cloud9 after a shocking collapse, getting reverse swept by Leviathan to bow out of the tournament in frankly embarrassing fashion. Lots of reaction to this, especially on the Cloud9 Jakee side after having such a great story, collegiate player getting into this position and impressing many people. He's now definitely turned some heads the other way, and Ye says that he is very keen to potentially come back depending on the circumstances. What's going to happen in rostermania? This team surely can't stay together after the collapse we have seen over the last couple of months. Very much enjoyed to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. Starting with Scream, he also, lots of tweets from Scream over the last day, but he did talk about how that next year he's probably not going to be the in-game leader. So I think that many fans of Scream and the scene in general will be quite pleasantly surprised by this, because I don't think Scream is at his best when he's on the IGL. So if he does step away and they get another one, that could be a good idea. He did also tweet about the possibility of going back to CS2. He tweeted this out, basically saying, I heard there's a new game coming out soon. Need some time to reflect on his career, the future of his career. And then he says, I just tweeted out of frustration and I'm not qualifying. Apologize to everybody. My last tweet was taken badly. I definitely intend to keep playing in the VCT with Cloud9 Collapse. So, obviously his employer was maybe not so happy that he was saying that he wanted to go to another game. So he's made it clear that he definitely intends to stay on with VALORANT, and we'll see what happens there over the coming months. Let's talk LCQs around the world then. So beginning with the EMEA side, and it seems like finally Na'Vi have figured out that putting zyppan on the Rays is the way to go, and it worked out pretty spectacularly for them here. So finally, KOI, after almost qualifying for champions, after only beating Na'Vi and Heretics all season long in all competitions that they played, Na'Vi take them down 3-0. So Na'Vi, when the pressure was on, actually did deliver for once here, right? So we thought that they should qualify. They have qualified. KOI go down. It was 14-12 on split, then 13-10, then 13-9. Close series, but in the end, Na'Vi just about had enough. They get over the line in this one, and KOI go home. Another tough series of cold mentor, it's got to be said. So lots of questions around his future on this franchise, whether he is going to be gone, which seems relatively likely, I would say, as it presently stands. And there we go. Those are your two teams that qualified for champions from EMEA, Giant and Na'Vi respectively. They'll still play the finals today because they might as well, I suppose. There will be lots of strat saving. There will be lots of interesting compositions. It doesn't matter, this series, both qualify for champs. There is still some relevance for seeding, I would imagine, so probably winning this will have a beneficial advantage come the big tournaments, but it might not be that big of a deal, so we'll see what happens. I mean, Giants, it's going to be a close series on paper, so I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, but it might not be super representative of how good those teams actually are. There's also, in the Pacific side, let me just hit the refresh on this as of recording, Zeta up 1-0 against Team Secret. So they've played, wow, okay, it was a 14-12 fracture, absolute bang out. So, yeah, been obviously keeping up with how this is going over the last few days. Secret took down Gen.G, I believe, yesterday to get through all the way to the grand finals, and only one of these teams makes it. But Zeta Division would be the team that, I kind of want Zeta to make it because they've had a difficult season, and if they can turn up at the end, it'd be pretty impressive. But they look like they're in a decent position to do so, but going out 1-0 in a series like this is absolutely no guarantee of success, as we will see in the coming minutes here. So by the time this video comes live, the result of this will probably have been determined. But speaking of teams failing to close out advantages, we have to go to Cloud9. I mean, wow. What do you say about this circumstance last night? Cloud9, they love doing this, right? They always tweet this out. Doesn't matter what the sport is, whether it's themselves, but Choke9 are at it again. Congrats on making finals, Cloud9. There's no way that Leviathan come back from an 0-2 deficit, and, well, turns out there is a way. They also tweeted, to make it even worse, not superstitious, but a 9-3 comeback into reverse sweep would be kind of crazy, and guess what happens? So this was just a classic Cloud9 collapse. You could see it coming on, but they started the series very positively. They get through 2-0 versus Leviathan, and then, well, they're in a prime position to close it out. But all of a sudden, it starts collapsing. Game 4 was an embarrassment, right? They go down after going up 9-3 the first half and completely collapse when the pressure was on, and then they couldn't even get particularly close on binds. Here's Tarek's reaction, and yeah, it's one of massive frustration.
He's spammed, he's done.
Done. GG. I can't believe it, bro.
Two stingers and a
This is actually so sad because considering the fact they should have been at Tokyo as well.
That's another one. Rooney
No
and Zelsis,
way.
all that are left. The spike in hand, they're all on site. There's the reckoning.
Oh, no way.
Rooney falls.
Wow.
They're gonna have an op this
Yeah, he's really expensive player. Boys, I don't know why people think I'm so goddamn expensive. I just want to pluck and play at this point.
I'm gonna smoke vent.
Like, if you told me that it was just like, you'll pay for my housing and food, but you get to play in franchise on a good team, I'd take that everything. Like, as long as I can live, I'll be happy. You can give me league minimum.
I'm flashing in the middle. He might have been opping road.
Close right.
This guy is A. Got revive mid.
So Cloud9 started the season so poorly with the Vanity and the Yay thing. They dropped those two guys. I mean, surprisingly poorly. Like, it wasn't like they were terrible. They were still decent enough. But they dropped those two guys. Money issues, whatever. It looked like it was working for them. Rooney comes in. Jakee comes in. Does a great job. We'll get onto those players respectively in a second because their career trajectories may be somewhat different as a result of this tournament. We'll see in a second. So Cloud9, 13-7 on Lotus. 13-9 on Pearl. It's looking so good. These guys, let's not forget, this Cloud9 team didn't dominate the regular season, but they went, what, 8-1, did they, in the regular season? Like, they were looking really good. Qualified for the playoffs, looking like one of the best teams in the Americas, and they went to the playoffs. They didn't deliver as they had expected to. They didn't make it to Masters Tokyo. So their final chance in the last chance qualifier, they come in here, they're on the verge of getting through. They lose the split, 13-11, like, okay, it can happen. It's a bang-out split. You know, Leviathan, a good team for sure. They win this one, but the Haven was unforgivable. Yes, it was Lev's pick, but 9-3 a first half here for Cloud9 on the attacking side. There's no way you can afford to let that go. Leviathan then win the pistol. They win a lot of rounds in a row. Cloud9 get one round and they lose 13-10. Like, this is one of those maps where you just think, wow, what could have been there? Complete collapse from C9, and then Bind was, I mean, they couldn't really stop the bleeding here, Cloud9, and eventually they go down pretty emphatically 13-7. So complete collapse, and it is frustrating for Cloud9, and I'm sure they're really gutted about this because the way their season started, the progress they were making, getting so close, like not even making an international tournament. Right, okay, they made lock-in, but everyone made the lock-in because they were a franchise team. Didn't make Masters, didn't make Champions, despite looking so good. I mean, look, the players are good on this roster. Like, let's not forget Zellsis, Jakee. I mean, obviously we'll talk about Jakee and Rooney, but zyppan and Leaf. Tough series for Leaf here, given how good he has been and should continue to be. Massive credit where it is due, though, to Leviathan, because these guys for some time looked like they were a suspect team. Like, they were looking really good at the start of the season. They massively fell off, but somehow the South American region, Latin America, has come to play in the second half of the season here and really turned up when it mattered. So, you know, the composure from these guys was mega, because going down 0-2 is not easy. Winning a clutch 13-11 and then bringing back a 9-3, that deserves a lot of credit. But it's Cloud9 that the attention will be directed towards, as Leaf says, onto the next year of depression. So he's not a happy man at all. And even Vanity, who was dropped from this team, let's not forget, despite the fact that he's frustrated with the franchise, says, like, yeah, those are three of my best friends in the entire world. No hidden meaning. I'm gutted for them and the way that things went. And even Matthew Elmore, the coach who came over from the Guards, says so much disappointment. I don't want to imagine what he said to these guys afterwards, because clearly he was going to be gutted about this one. Don't know what to say. Sorry we couldn't close this out and accomplish anything that we wanted to. Now, Rooney and Jakee were the two big stories of this season for Cloud9. Rooney, understandably, got a lot of positive reaction here. The guy seems like a really wholesome fella. I thought he was a great player for these guys coming into IGL, the roster. Really impressive. Says congrats to Leviathan. Obviously heartbreaking for Rooney, but yeah, still makes the time to take a picture and, you know, just seems like a good guy. So hopefully he's in the league next season, and also a great player. Like, Rooney really impressed me, and I thought a really smart pickup from Cloud9. Now, Jakee was in a similar position, let's not forget. Jakee has a great story as well. It comes from the collegiate scene, like replacing Yay, lots of pressure to perform, did a great job, had his moments, absolutely, but now finds himself embroiled in a wave of controversy as a result of this result last night. So this is Julie, his, like, you know, e-girlfriend or whatever. And the amount of, you know, like, girlfriends that have been the downfall of pro players has been many in esports history, and this might be another one. So Julie says, LATAM MFs hating on NA, like how they afford to have phones when they're living in a third world country, go get a job or something. So, you know, I don't need to say what's wrong with this tweet. Fantastic stuff. She then doubles down. So we then get this tweet from this guy, and Andrew. If you look at, like, his Twitter at, you can tell this is not a fellow of upstanding moral compass, right? I don't need to say any more of that. And then Julie says, I'm being called a racist for saying a fact. When did I ever say I hate LATAMs? So obviously these tweets are all deleted. The account has been either deactivated or something like that anyway. I couldn't find any of these. It was all screenshots. So, but of course people take the screenshots. And then Jake comes out to effectively defender, right? So he says the following: people hate on Twitter, no job, no partner, not even good at the game. Please delete app and go to your local McDonald's and fill out a job application. So it's just not a great look, is it, right? The tweets from Jake over the last few days, if you've just lost a tournament like this, don't check your Twitter DMs. It's not going to look pretty in there in the message request and stuff. Just stay away from that. And I know that people say, oh, like, this guy should be better media trained than this. But it's been a bit of a disaster for Jake, I've got to say, over the last day or so. Just comparing the reaction in the replies to Rooney and, you know, the wholesome stuff there. People saying, oh, you know, unlucky, you know, better luck next time. To the way that Jake has managed things over the last couple of days hasn't exactly been ideal. So, look, there is still some positivity in the replies for sure. But it's more few and far between than it would potentially otherwise have been. So what do you guys think about this, especially when we have Ye, who was on this team earlier this season, was dropped for potentially financial issues? It's not clear, but he was definitely on a much bigger salary than the minimum. He actually made the point last night on stream that he's pretty down to even play for the minimum just to get back on a good franchise level team. And to add insult to injury for Jake, we then get Matthew Elmore, the coach of Cloud9, saying, did he say league minimum? We could probably make that work. Now, the league minimum is still, like, I think about 6k a month or something, so it's not exactly nothing, but the teams have to pay the minimum. So, you know, if you're going to pay the minimum, why not get Ye if he's down to do so? Especially with the player in Ye's role, who replaced him in Jake, is probably not necessarily a player they want to keep around at Cloud9 for various reasons. They might still decide to do so, but it's definitely raised some big questions over the last days. So that's it on that story for now, but today is going to be the big one. Crew versus Leviathan. I mean, how crazy is this, right? Crew and Leviathan at the finals, both at, you know, Latin America Grand Finals. Incredible stuff. Would not have predicted that going into the tournament, but one of these teams will be at Champions, and some LATAM representatives there is going to be great to see for the Americas region. So hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.